Hey everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and another episode of Cash or Trash, where we look at the hot comics of this past week and make predictions sure to go wrong. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I hope your Monday wasn't too bad. Getting back on your work week. And let's see, we have my man GT Key in here early tailgating. Warriors for Info TV was in here early as well. X-Men Adventure Strikes Again. Yeah, it's back. I mean, it is. I'll be curious to see if they're even. Oh, I didn't turn the light off. Hang on. One sec. One sec. Dog get a treat out of the deal since I'm incompetent. Since I forgot to turn the light off that shines over my head when I'm sitting here. So, yeah, I don't remember what I was gonna say. Oh, he's talking about X-Men Adventures, and I'll be curious what they're going to do for the next month or so with X-Men 97 not going to be on the list. Maybe it'll just be X-Men books till the end of time. But yeah, I mean, we got 16 books this week, and 9 of them are X-Men 97. So, yeah. So, to anyone who is new here or doesn't exactly know what this is our Cash or Trash video. On Saturdays, my shoe, keep my chair, I'm a little off-centered. I'm all a kilter. There we go. Yeah. I think I'm still off kilter, but we are off to a wonderful start tonight. I will tell you guys. I'm just kind of here. So, if you couldn't already tell by my performance so far in this video, we're just here. We're moving forward somehow. So yes, if you're new to the channel, what is Cash or Trash? On Saturdays, I put out a video where we look back at the hot comics from 6 months ago and see how they're doing in the market now. And basically, should you have been patient? Should you have bought in? What factors made books that you should have been patient on? What factors continue to keep books moving forward or moving up in value? This is a video where we make predictions for that video in 6 months. And we try to have a little fun with it. We throw them into categories. I don't take myself too seriously. Please do not take my predictions super seriously, because if I was smart as I pretend, I'd have a lot more money. So let's see what we got. I got a dog who's all fired up at the moment. So categories. I am really scattered at the moment. I apologize. First up, we got our straight cash. How many books we expect to continue to increase in value? You buying in now, you're going to make money. These are books that are going to continue to go up. Has been a lot of these over the last couple of years since the craziness with the market readjusting after the pandemic. Even long-term books, you've been able to get better deals. But generally, we talk about straight cash in terms of books that are going to be long-term as opposed to over the 6-month thing, because they're hot for a reason. But occasionally, you get a straight cash book. We got our worth it. These are books that are priced about right. They're not, they're hitting the market. They're going for good value, but they already have value. And if you buy in, you're going to do okay. You might not make money in the next 6 months to a year, but you're not going to really lose any money. We got our I'll Be Back. Flip side of that, worth it. These are books that, again, priced about right. But if you're patient, you're probably going to be able to find some deals going forward. We got our It's a Trap. These are books that are up 30, 40, 50%. These are books that are well overpriced. There's no reason to change them with these values. Whatever is causing them to hit the list is not going to be sustained, and they're most likely going to return to the value that they had before, whatever that was. And then we have a Dumpster Fire, and these are books that just legitimately are going for way, way, way more than they will ever be able to sustain. These are books that are going to drop 60, 70, 80%. We usually have at least 1 to 2 of these every week when we do the look back list. There's just no reason to chase these books. Doesn't mean the book in itself is bad. It just means the current prices are way beyond the value it can sustain. Occasionally we'll throw in a whatever. it's a book that hits the list because it's selling a lot of copies, but it's not really going for very much. So if you buy in, you're not really going to lose anything because it's not really going for much anyway. So those are kind of the main categories we talk about. Apparently, there's my usual crowd is not making it tonight, or maybe it's because I'm all over the place. But apparently, I'm not the only one who's off my game tonight because usually the regulars are here by now. But that's okay. Those of you that are here, I appreciate you. So let's dig into this. We got 16 books to talk about. So, and I got a dog who's going crazy. What's the matter? Come here. What is the problem? Come here. Move over here. Come here. Come here. Yeah, you're fine. We were just outside. Yeah, I know. We're just going to be all over the place tonight. It's just going to be one of those videos. I apologize. So, all right, let's get into this. We got Revival #1. Let's make me bigger. This is hitting the list because it got optioned. And if you've been watching this video at all, what does that mean? It means avoid like the plague. Right now, this is suddenly a nice Jenny Frison cover. Suddenly a $20 to $25 book on a book that was like a $5 to $10 book. $120 for 9.8. Option just now means no project for probably 2 years. This is a sorry, hang on. This is a T-Wrap. Most option books are trap. Like, generally speaking, these option books, if they only get to like 10 to 15, you'll do okay, because that's usually when they end up selling. People forget about these. There's so many of these you can option. The vast majority of them never get made into anything. And yeah, if you can get an option book for $10, you're probably fine. 20 to 25, way too much. Over $100 for 9.8, way too much. No reason to spend that kind of money on this book. Hey, Black Knight, what is going on, sir? Next up, we got Mad Max Fury Road Furiosa #1 from back in 2015 when the original Mad Max Fury Road movie came out. We got introduced to this character played by Charlize Theron. This weekend, I guess, the Furiosa movie's coming out with Anya Taylor-Joy instead of Charlize Theron. So this book is on the list, $15, 9.8, 80. The only thing that doesn't make this an absolute trap is the fact that it's not really going for that much even now. It's absolutely going off your back. There's no reason to buy this right now with the movie coming out. If you like the movie, you like the character, come back 6 months. Nobody will be thinking about it. Nobody will be talking about it. You'll be able to find this back for like cover price or less, probably. Hey, Kenneth Bird, what's going on? Hey, Gordon. Welcome, sir. Welcome. So yeah, we're going to keep moving. I may go through this quick with not a lot of traffic. So next, we're back on a Dave Stevens train after a 1 week hiatus, after like 5 weeks in a row or something, where we had a Dave Stevens cover. We finally didn't have one. All this was following that documentary on him. This week we got one again. Jungle Comics #1. This was a book that had value. It's like a $50 to $60 book raw. Now it's $110 to $145 book raw. 9.6 went for $450. And I'm going to stick with the same prediction I made for all of these Stevens books, which is the documentary highlighted him. People are really enjoying his work. People are chasing it right now. As we move away from this, eventually what's going to happen is we're going to settle into the new value of these books. I think the current values, with everybody hyped right now, chasing everything Dave Stevens, is too high. I think what's going to happen is somewhere between the 50, 60 this book used to be and the 110 to 140 it is now, you're probably going to end up with like a $70, $80, $90 book. And which is really good value for these, but there's no reason to chase them right now. I would wait, look for deals, look for opportunities on these Stevens books a year from now. Like, that's just, I mean, I would use this as an opportunity to, like, if you're a big Dave Stevens fan, use this as an opportunity to be, like, find covers maybe you didn't know about right now, make a note of them, put them on your long-term list, look for bargains down the road when everyone is not chasing Stevens, because there will come a time when everyone's not chasing Stevens again. So that's just my suggestion on that. So I'll be back. on anything Dave Stevens right now. Unless you just find a really cool, really big deal. I need to make this. 1 second. All right, sorry. I'm adjusting. Next, we got Venom Separation Anxiety, #1. The Gerardo Sandoval 1 in 200. Kind of a Spider-Man 1 homage again for the 8 billionth time. We're going to homage that. And I know there's like 3 other Venom ones. Go to Minuteman Whatnot show if you want Dave Stevens fan tonight. There you go. They're having the sale. I would guess most of those auctions will go for too much tonight because there's so much buzz right now. But hey, it's worth at least looking. So you never know. You might find a bargain. This 1 in 200, rare for a 1 in 200 to ever hit these lists because there's just not enough sales, not enough of them. They even said there was only a couple sales here, but $300 on a 1 in 200 is really good. But my guess is this ends up closer back to like, it's a homage that's been done multiple times. I don't know that this one's even better. Yeah, I think this screams trap to me. I mean, if it drops back to ratio, which for a 1 in 100 or above, if that book sustains ratio, that's doing really well most of the time. That's a $200 book. That's a $100 drop. That's absolutely a trap. So yeah, I think this is a trap. I would avoid. I just would. These like the 1 in 100s, you get them so rarely that we don't talk about them as much, so it's hard. It's all he's selling tonight is Dave Stevens. There you go. So if you're a Stevens fan, you never know. You might find a bargain. Yeah, it's hard to judge these as well. I don't have the history of looking at 1 in 25s and 1 in 50s. Right, looking at a 1 in 200 like I do with 1 in 25 and 1 in 50, I should say. But yeah, generally speaking, this screams trap to me. It just does. Next. Godzilla 70th anniversary. The Art Adams 1 in 50. Going for 150, which means just right at triple ratio. I'm a little torn on this one. We don't get a 1 in 50 that gets to 150 is usually a really good sign, but I will tell you what I've noticed lately. Even the ones that perform. So unless this goes to 250 next week, which it could, is a 150 already going for one, or is a 1 in 50 already going for 150? There's a strong chance this makes the second week leap and ends up, in which case then a 1 in 50, then in which case if it jumps to like 250 next week, you're looking at it's probably going to settle between like 150 and 200, in which case right now is a good time to buy, or this is a good value. My guess though is it settles around $100 book, 100 to 150 at the most. They just haven't, the 1 in 25s, I talk about the rules a lot, but over the last couple of years, the last 6 months, the rules have not applied as much. Even books that seem to have performed really well out of the gate have not. So unless we get the second week leap, I don't think it sustains these values. Get the Gotcha Man 1 next month. Okay. All right. Next. We got a little buzz. We have one comic buzz book this week. Strange Academy, Blood Hunt, #1, the first appearance of Pia. Beware the Darkhold. I don't know anything about what's going on in Strange Academy. I need to go back and read it. I just never have. I keep saying I'm going to get a trade and read it, and I haven't. Raw copies $15.20 right out the gate for a brand new character in a series people enjoy. Even though this is kind of the side of that series with the stupid Blood Hunt stuff. To me, this screams I'll be back. Like, the odds of the vast majority of these characters don't really, like, you can get them for ratio or not ratio, for double cover all day long, 10 to 15. Yeah, or 15 to 20. I think you're looking at a $10 book. I think you're like, unless this character has something going for them and really, really hits with the community, you're looking at a $10 book. That's just the case. It kind of looks like Tom. Guys. Godzilla stuff is very hot right now, but will it be hot in 6 months? Who knows? Well, looky here. Look what the cat dragged in. Well, there's just Mr. John's Comics with Kids. What's going on, Johnny? So yeah, you're just in time. Oh no, we got one more book. You're too early to talk X-Men 97 the whole rest of the way. One more book before we get to like the 9 X-Men 97 books on this list. And it is Spider-Man Noir, number 1. First appearance of Spider-Man Noir. Hitting the list because Nick Cage is doing a live action Spider-Man Noir set in the before World War II. I don't know. He's like an old man superhero after World War II. I forget now when they said the setting was. Nick Cage's first foray in any kind of TV format. They're doing this for Amazon Prime, same channel that was going to do Silk for like 9 years and never did. I mean, the fact that Nicolas Cage is attached makes me think that it'll probably get made. I feel like this is a Spider-Man character that's been mostly overvalued over the years, but for what you've actually gotten out of him, hey, Frankie, what's going on? Double back on Godzilla. That's what I would do. I won't say you're wrong. But yeah, this has always been a super expensive book now for the last several years since the first Into the Spider-Verse movie. Right now, Rock Hobby's averaging around 180, 9.8, 470. Both of which are actually down from some of the previous heights of this book, but still very high. I think these are both I'll be backs. I think we're a ways out from this project actually happening. And like I don't think they're trapped because this book is sustained, which is just like he goes for more than the vast majority of Spider characters, and he hasn't been used that much. But something about this character people love, people pay for. I wouldn't pay this much for this one, but and I think just watching it, I think it's an I'll be back, but not a huge. I mean, it's not going to be a huge drop because it just hasn't. It's nice kids love it. There you go. All right, with that, we're moving into X-Men 97. Most of these don't have spoilers for the finale if you haven't watched it yet, but toward the end we will get to those. But first up, we have X-Men 97, number 1. This is a prequel that they put out this spring for the show, and it's going for $15 with a 9.8 that went for $80 and a 9.8 that went for $170. That 170 screams dumpster fire to me. The 80 says probably this is a $60 to $80 9.8. It's really $60 to $90 9.8. $15 seems I'll be back. I realize there may not be a huge thing. Right now, this is as hot as this book will ever be. The odds of, even if season 2 is actually better shows, better episodes, better written, better performed, the odds of season 2 having the buzz that season 1 does within the community, within the collectors, within everybody's mind, even if the show actually gets better, is slim. Like, it's just the way we work. Once we went almost 20 years without, and we got this cool nostalgia thing, and it lived up to all our hopes and dreams and expectations. So we went nuts on buying all this stuff, and we've been crazy about it. The odds of that momentum sustaining, even if the project itself sustains in terms of the quality, the odds of people's emotions towards sustaining are slim to none. We don't work that way. Doesn't mean we'll hate it. It just means it won't sustain these prices. There's no first appearances here. This is just, hey, we got this series back. Here's the prequel. It screams that it's a trap. This is nothing statement about the quality of the show. The show's great. It just, I would not buy this book. Withhold his taxes up front. Well, I'm not going to comment on that, but yeah. All right, next. X-Men Event, and this is going to be the example I'm going to give you of why that other book is a trap. Right now, the first book that's related to the characters in the animated series, the first animated series book, is going for $18 instead of $15 for raw copies. A book, mind you, that is 30 years old, 32 years old. 9.8s are going for $200 instead of the $170 somebody just paid for X-Men 97 #1. I probably should have called it a dumpster fire. The sad thing is, the show just ended. There's all this hype, and these are down from like pre-show prices on this book. And I think this is still an I'll be back. Because other than Morph, first appearance of Morph, where do we think this book is going? Like, do you think it'll ever be hotter than it is right now? And the X-Men 97 book that came out this spring is going for as much as this one is, almost. So yeah, both it's a trap. Both these are bad. I'll sell mine for $3 billion. I think you'll be keeping it then, but that's just me. Hey Mojo, what's going on? All right. Next, we're going to keep moving. Second week in a row, we got little Nightcrawler #1. After the sword fight in the second to last episode, this book has still got a little momentum. It's just really slightly up from last week. Last week, it was basically like it's lots of sales. What did I look? Here, let me double check. What does it say last week? Oh, last week, it's like $6 book, 180 to 130 on a 9.8. But yeah, it's basically a solidly a $10 book on average, 8 to 15, 6 to 15 kind of dollar book. 9.8s are still in the same range, still at 80 to 130 here. Yeah, it's an I'll be back. This book is going to be what it is. I'd look for it in dollar bins, back issue bins. I don't see it fundamentally changing the long-term value of this book, that single moment, but it did bring some notice to the book, which is fun. And yeah, maybe there's people that didn't know this book was out there, but to the moon, that's right. But yeah, I would come back later though. I'll be back on this sucker. All right. Pure speculation for season 2. We're still on the Onslaught train, and obviously they've set it up about as blatantly as you can that at some point, and then they've even talked about it. That at some point we're probably going to get Onslaught. And given the fact that we went through like 37 storylines and 10 episodes in season 1, I would assume they got to get the Onslaught at some point because they're going to run out of storylines. Good luck with that. So yeah, $15 to $35. Well, let's just look. Let's look at the history of this. Hang on, let me scroll over here. 2 weeks ago, 15 to 30, or no, 2 weeks ago, 10 to 15, 9.8 going for 100. Last week, 15 to 30, 150, 115 to 150. Now it's still 15 to 35, getting a little higher on the high end. 115 to 150 still on the 9.8. And I think this is a trap. No one's ever cared about Onslaught. There's 9 bajillion of these in print. Well, 5 bajillion of these in print. Be a cool part of season 2. Maybe they'll be the villain at the end. But I just don't see it sustaining. I think as 6 months from now, when we're 6 months from season 2 or whatever it's going to be, I think there's a book, you'll be able to find bargains on this book. I would not be buying this book right now. I just wouldn't. And honestly, I would probably not even think about buying this book until after season 2 is come and gone. That's just me. But anyway. Next, we got The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. So I'm going to admit to something here. I didn't know this existed. I did not know there was. I had somehow missed the fact that this book, that there was ever a Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. Also, can we talk about how awful? I don't know who the cover artist is. I didn't look it up because I didn't want to slander anybody specifically, but that's the cover for #1. Wow, is that bad? It's terrible. But this is the origin of Cable. It's only going for $3. A 9.8 went for $70. I mean, this is as literally as you can get. Oh, you paid $2 plus shipping to get this book. Okay, Good for you. I mean, that's, I mean, okay, they'll pay 15, but if you pay $3 or 70 for 9.8, fine. Not gonna judge you too much. It probably is. I just didn't know it existed. I'm not actually judging this other than that. The only thing I'm judging is that. What is I gonna go? Yes, Onslaught was there again. His mommy and daddy cared. Did they? Did they? uh, that Cyclops with the mullet in the front, you think? Could be. Could be. I mean, it's bad. It's just bad. Yeah, 15 for the set, not 1 penny more. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Are we into okay, so technically the last 4 could have some spoilers, but it's a lot of it's speculate. The first 2 are kind of speculation for season 2, but a little bit of spoilers for stuff that we see here. So they were in different bodies. Okay. Well, they look, yeah. All right, so we got X-Men 150, 185. I don't know where I got 150 because the Onslaught was 53. I was about to say 53. 185. And this is first appearance of Gambit as Death. So Gambit came back as a horseman for Apocalypse. Obviously, the post credits on the finale teased the heck out of this with Apocalypse going to Genosha, picking up the burned card. Clearly, they're speculating that, yeah, Apocalypse is going to be back. He's going to have horsemen. This is probably how we're getting Gambit back after what happened in episode 5 this season. $15 to $30 for this. Come on. What are we doing? I mean, I get people loved it, but why are we spending money? Why? I mean, if you spend 15, sure, but if you're spending $30 on this book, and please don't be one of the people that buys like the first 2 9.8s that come back from CGC from the people that are sending it off and put it on eBay for $200. Don't do it. Don't do it. I own it. It was a dumpster fire, but I would definitely not. I'll be back for sure. Come back later on this Gambit is Death. More spec because we got Apocalypse. You're like, oh, we might get Archangel. No real hint at this. This is just pure spec. This is not that much higher than what it normally goes for here at $40 for raw copies, 9.8 to 30, but definitely up a little bit. Another one I would expect to be an I'll be back that'll go back to what its long-term general value is here on the first cover appearance of Archangel. I think technically he appears the issue before, but this is one of those cover things. Yeah, this is a good description. It's a solid minor key. It has a value that its long-term trending value is. That's where I would look to buy the book in a few months. X-Men 54 foil variant will be the Onslaught book. A value if there ends up being one, in my opinion. Not so far, but we'll see. But I don't think there will be. So that's my opinion. We'll get there. We're going to get there, Mojo. There you go. First Apocalypse, but still needing first Archangel. Yeah. So next, first Apocalypse. Obviously, we got Apocalypse at the end. Even though supposedly they erased him from all timelines in the original series. That's what I was hearing people saying. So how is he back? But anyway, they brought him back. X Factor number 6 from 1986. $65 to $100 for Raws. 9.8, $440. A newsstand 9.8 went for $825. These are way down from some previous heights this book had reached. And it kind of collapsed after that movie was bad. And it bounced back a little bit, and then it kind of fallen back again. This is obviously a bounce back. I think this is an all be back. I think it, again, I think it's going to return to what has been sort of the value for this book. I don't think anticipation for season 2 is fundamentally going to change the underlying value. And why do I say that? Because the book that we chased for 2 years related to X-Men, the villain for X-Men 97 was a Sinister book. And it did this for 2 years. There'd be a little news and bump a little bit. Then it would go back to what it's worth. Then it would bump a little bit. Then it would go back to what it's worth. Then it would bump a little bit. Then it would go back to what it's worth. And it's done that for 2 freaking years, that Mr. Sinister book. I think that's what's going to happen here. We're getting a little bit of a bump right now. Then it's going to go back to what its value is. I feel like I'm being another solid key eye on price. So, yeah. I mean, it's just the way these have worked. I'm Debbie Downer this week. The best I have for you guys is a whatever. Like everything else is I'll be back or trap. I probably should have, so. Next, let's see. Last book. And somebody mentioned it already. Rise of Apocalypse, number 1. The Origin of Apocalypse. $8 to $10. 9.8 for 65. That's probably about right for 9.8 of anything. Like anything you get a 9.8 of for under $65, you're basically, that person ain't making nothing at that point. Nothing. But this is an all be back. This is not, again, this is a book you can find in back issues for dollars. I mean, if you can almost call it a whatever. $8 to $10 for this is not ridiculous. 65 for 9.8 is not ridiculous, but I wouldn't go chasing this right now. If you stumble across a good deal on a nice copy, great, but I wouldn't go chasing it. So, Keith agreeing with me. Dave Stevens, Minuteman, 940. Gordon, are you behind? We talked about Dave Stevens like 30 minutes ago. Yeah, I mean, you might. It's a 9.8. Anytime you're on a 9.8 that has value under $100, like you're liable to get a $90 sale just because somebody sees one and pays it. But you're liable to get a $30 sale, be the next one. That just seems to be how it works under $100. But yeah, I mean, if you're paying $50, $60, $70 for 9.8, sure, why not? Whatever. That's basically the price if you've done it yourself. So I wouldn't pay $100 for this one, but I don't think I'd slab or try to get a 9.8 of this one, but there you go. All right, that is this week's list. 16 books, most of it about X-Men 97. It'll be interesting to see if they can come up with a list next week or if we just have more X-Men 97. So, yeah, see, that's just it. Like, fundamentally, these books have had a value. Do we ultimately think X-Men 97 changes the fundamental value of any of these books? Particularly the ones where you're just specking on for season 2. My general answer is no, it might bump the floor slightly, but ultimately the books are going to return to what the books are because people are going to forget about X-Men 97. Not forget, but it's not going to be at the front of their consciousness. They're not going to be thinking about it. They're not going to be chasing the books. So, yeah. And I mean, it's about that's because that's what it's always been. $5 book tops. Yeah. All right. With that, let me get this remove and put myself big. So yeah, that's our list this week. JP was super negative, which I guess is like normal. It's normal, I guess, at this point. I'm just super negative. But I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Hopefully you got something out of this. I feel like I say the exact same thing every week. But some of you keep coming back, so I'm glad you do. So, all right, gang. It is Monday. It has been a Monday. It has definitely been a Monday. So with that, we're going to get out of here. Again, thank you all for hanging out with me. is the boom over with spec? I mean, it's clearly like different now. It's definitely changed since 20 and 21. And I mean, like, not just from it's different now than it was in 20 and 21 where everything was going crazy. I mean, it's different now than it was before 20 and 21. It's definitely more subdued. People have sort of learned some lessons. I think books are not jumping the degree they used to. But it's still out there. You look at these X-Men 97 books. There's still people chasing books and overpaying for stuff in the moment, in the heat of the moment. Specking on things that already happened, which is never a great deal. Never spec on something that's already happened. Yeah. All right. With that, we're gonna get out of here. Hey, thanks, Keith. Artwork down 20%. That would be good. I need some artwork. People hate everything. There is a lot of that people just decided they're going to hate anything Marvel does. And yeah, there's some of that. They certainly heard it as well. So, but you like what you like. Buy what you love, and don't worry about the rest of it. As would be my recommendation always. So, all right, gang, I'm gonna get out of here. Where's my outro? I've said it like 6 times. This time I mean it.